So 15 years before I frequented Connor as working on workforce policy. What I really am is a union organizer, and I did thousands of house visits to nursing home workers all over the city, organizing them into what was then SEIU Local 79. Anyone old enough to remember Local 79 over on Grand River? Oh yeah. So I think that what we need you to do, write letters, email, call our offices, whoever all that. But I'm into storytelling, y'all. I'm into you organizing. If there's a union struggle going on, and if the boss is crushing those workers, we need you to lift up that story and tell that story, because we've got in this bill to help pay for it, a little teeny part of it, right, Bernie? Real significant penalties against bosses who fire workers or mistreat workers when they're trying to form a union. So we need to lift up their stories. Whatever your organization focuses on, if you can do an event, highlight someone's story about their flooded basement, about their child care situation, about their nutrition situation in their family, and tell us those stories. And we want to share with you the burden of telling those stories so that we really get the word out that the Build Back Better budget is the answer to the people's cries for justice in this country. We've got to make it more urgent, and you can play a huge role in making it not just a bunch of words from politicians, but the stories of the people demanding justice.
And I think that's what is so important, is making this so real for people. I always think of my immigrant mother, like, I can't go to her and talk about this in a way that, like, folks in DC talk about, and they use all these acronyms that I can't stand. But it is really about those stories, like Andy said. But, many people don't realize this pathway to clean water is in the reconciliation, y'all, in the Build Back Better plan. The pathway to really getting clean air and really moving away from fossil fuel and dirty air is in this bill. To talk about all the direct services that needs to be on the ground, maybe from childcare to food assistance to a number of issues, is in this. Make it real for people. This is something that I couldn't have dreamed of would be a possibility. And we have to have people understand we are very close. We are so incredibly close. We just passed it out of the House. It's now in the Senate. We got to build up that power on the ground. Grace Lee Boggs taught young activists like me in Detroit. She said it didn't matter who was in the White House or who was in Congress. You may say a little bit, but what mattered was the movement work in the streets. That's how we delivered Civil Rights Act. That's how we delivered the labor rights movement. Was how we were able to do it is when there was consciousness here on the ground. And so you all got to do it. And I know it's not easy, but there are faith-based communities that have not been engaged on this. There are folks even in the nonprofit arena that are servicing folks that are like, oh, this is politics, I don't want to deal with it. But no. This is a pathway for your families to get out of poverty. This is a pathway for your families to get access to education, to real jobs that you can actually retire and get benefits and all these other things. So we got to make it real for our folks. And it's getting harder now to reach those individuals because we don't want to talk about it. But I'm asking all of you, it's time to have those conversations with those pastors. It's time to have those conversations with some of those leaders. We got to do it now. And they're with us. But we got to push them to understand that they matter now more than ever in getting this through the Senate and on the president's desk. And so, again, there is so much right here. This $3.5 trillion, if folks want to focus on the numbers, but behind those numbers are real people that our lives are going to change dramatically. And so it's so incredibly important. I know they want to, because it's really hot, y'all. I don't know, you guys, this tent is way too small, Senator. But we're going to work. If there's any questions, we can take maybe 2 or 3 questions from the audience. Okay.
Good afternoon. My question is a little bit off topic. I want to let you know, Senator, while you're here, that Detroit has a huge issue that's not really being addressed the way it is. The city of Detroit stole $600 million from its residents by overtaxing its lowest income valued homeowners, taxes we didn't owe. So the Coalition for Property Tax Justice, organizations like the one I'm a part of, the Detroit Justice Center, we fight and we follow the legal pathway by doing appeals to get people's property tax assessment lowered to what it's supposed to be. But I wanted to let you know this is a particular problem in the city of Detroit, which, let's be honest, is a majority black city that we need addressed on the federal level. We need help because the powers that be in Detroit are just not paying us any attention, and they're pushing out residents that built this city. So I appreciate you being here, and I am behind this bill that you all are pushing, and I will rally people behind myself to be behind this bill. But you need to know what's going on with the lowest income valued people here.
Yeah, I think the Chairwoman Maxine Waters' Housing and Infrastructure Bill is a pathway to have a real conversation about accountability for local governments as they implement these policies on the federal level. I know many of us were very disappointed to see so much of the hardest hit funds and other funds being used to tear down homes that we could have had people stay in their homes. And I know I saw my block completely transform. We had the worst foreclosure crisis in Wayne County than anywhere in the nation. And many of you know this, and you, Senator, heard me say this, but we lost more black home ownership in the state of Michigan than any other state in the union. And so we know we have to hold folks accountable because we can get these dollar amounts, but we have to have accountability because implementation matters. You all know I'm a social worker at heart. We can put all kinds of dollars, but if it's not equitable and holding folks accountable to some of these injustices that continue to happen, it's not going to happen. But I know, and you all know, the coalition knows, Secretary Fudge needs to look into this matter. And I know that she's very much aware of it. And I know that's why part of the reconciliation will have the Restoring Local Communities Act, which it's $5 billion. And much of that could be used for a tax foreclosure crisis right now in our country. But again, accountability matters at the local level.
And question from Michelle Jackson.
Hello, how are you? I just would like to know, what is it that you guys, besides getting people to rally behind you right now, what is the need right now for us right here, boots on the ground, to do today, tomorrow, next week?
I'll tell you what it is. And that is to ask your seven Republican members in the Michigan delegation, ask them why they think it is more important to protect the wealth of the few than the needs of ordinary working people. It is a disgrace. You know, the pastor mentioned there's politics and morality. All right, I'm involved in politics. But there is no excuse for saying that we cannot tax billionaires in order to deal with the issues that are here in Detroit. There's no moral excuse for that. Demand to know why these 7 members are not supporting this legislation.
We'll take one more question.
Run my legs are small. Okay. I saw his hand raise, I'm sorry.
It's so great to be here and hear you all speak. I was curious, how do we convince borderline independents or right-leaning, slightly right-leaning Republicans to care about climate justice and the prevalent issues of Medicare for all and the issues that are affecting every American, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum?
You know, polling is far from accurate in many cases, but what I believe to be the case based on what I have seen, in fact, that we have a very significant number of working class Republicans, not the rich, but working class Republicans who are supportive of what we're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, you know what? If you are a working class Republican and you got a child, you're going to need some help in this day and age. You're going to need a decent paying job. In terms of climate, I think we are beginning painfully to win over more and more people. You know why? Not because of what the United Nations is saying. It's because what they are seeing with their own eyes. All right, if you continue to have massive floods that 20 or 30 years ago did not occur, you don't have to be a scientist to figure out that something weird is going on. In Vermont, we are breathing the smoke 3,000 miles away from Oregon's fire. The smoke from the Siberian fire. is going thousands of miles, impacting people's health. You gotta be a moron not to understand that what's going on is real and is dangerous. And it's not good enough to say, oh, isn't it terrible today, but it'll get better in the future. It won't. Not unless we lead the rest of the world. And by the way, we cannot even do it alone. China is a bigger emitter than we are. This world is going to have to come together and understand that we are in a world war. And every country is going to be part of that war, fighting against climate change for the people in our country, China, India, and all over this world. That's what we got to do.
I just want to add one thing, but first, I'm so happy that Democracy Summer is in the house. So let's hear it for these young people who are out on the streets all summer fighting for our voters' voting rights and our democracy. Okay. I think the answer is we just have to deliver. Don't give me another speech about $15 an hour. Give me my $15 an hour. Don't give me another speech about the freedom to form unions. Let me form a union in my workplace if I damn well please to. And don't give me child tax credits for a minute. Give me $250 for every one of my kids 6 and over, and $300 a month for every kid 5 and under, forever. Because I got to raise kids in America. It costs a lot of money to put food on the table. So we started with the American Rescue Plan, but I think that we will be ready to win people over when we actually put food on their table and money in their pocket. It's high time we did it, and with the leadership of Senator Sanders, we're going to do it right now.
All right, Judy, get up. Just tell me what the question is.
It's real simple, right? Because we know we're speaking to the choir. We're on board. And you hit on something, Senator Sanders. You said there are Republicans who are supportive. Who are they? Because that's who we can be in target. We may have
Got it.
in those districts.
I will tell you who they are. They are working class Republicans, the people who work. And one of the interesting, well, there are many millions of them, but here's the irony. People say, well, there's no bipartisanship in Washington. It's true, but there is bipartisanship down here at the grassroots level. You tell me, if you're a working class dad and you got 2 kids and you can't afford to feed them, you know what? You want that $300 a month, right? And you want inexpensive and quality childcare. You want a good paying job. What we got, and maybe let me close on this one. All of you know this. We got today in America politicians who are trying to divide our people up based on the color of their skin or where they were born or their sexual orientation or their religion or whatever it may be. That's what they do. And that's how they think they're going to get elected. Our job is to do exactly the opposite. Because we're all in this together. Climate change impacts every man, woman, and child on this planet. I don't care the color of your skin or where you were born. Healthcare is a need of everybody. We're all going to go to the doctor. We all need medical help. Our job is to bring people together around a people's agenda. Whether they're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, we're making some progress. In Washington, we're not. But our job is to demand to know why these 7 Republicans from Michigan in the House are more important, more interested in representing the wealthy campaign contributors than they are their constituents. Listen, you guys, this is a tough moment for the country. And I know it's easy to get discouraged. But I want to tell you that with your great members of Congress here and your great grassroots leaders, we are making progress. We've got to continue the fight. The future of the planet and the well-being of millions of people is at stake. Let's go forward together. Thank you so much.
Now, this is our marching orders, but I can't thank you enough, Senator Sanders, for coming out to the 13th District and coming out to Michigan. Thank you so much. Again, a round of applause, Senator Sanders.